With a hooey, oh hitting aloo. With a hooey, oh hitting aloo. And it's breakfast with Bob. Chee-hoo.
Poncho Man, everybody. Day 5, Breakfast with Bob. We're brought to you by HOKA on Polar Halo Neuroscience Velofix. Today's planned Normatec Four Seasons Resort Hualalai, Triathlete Magazine. And we're at beautiful Huggo's on the Rocks. With us, the 2-time Ironman World Champion. Give it up for Mr. Tim DeBoom. Timmy.
Hey.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I haven't been to the island for quite a while.
It's 2010.
Yep.
Can you believe the crowds everywhere?
It's a little different than when I was, from the very beginning. My first time here was 1992.
Oh my God.
And it's changed a lot.
It has changed a lot. So I think it was 98. You're training with Peter Reed.
Yep.
And he wins, you get 10th.
Yeah.
And you know that every day in workouts, there were some days that you had him on the ropes. He was hurting. And he wins, and you get 10th. What the hell?
Well, he had come up to Boulder to train, and it was great. My dad had just passed away, so he kind of, he knew that, and he came up, and we had a great summer of training together, and it was nice to have somebody around and push each other, and I was definitely ahead of the game with him in training.
Right.
There were days where I was like, he had been 4th the year before, and I was like, all right, this is a good sign. I'm training. And then with about 4 weeks to go, he left. He went home and didn't give any advice or anything to me. He just left, and I kept training the way we were training, and he went home and rested. And needless to say, he won, and I got 10th.
And now, you guys couldn't train together after that?
No, we did. He
did?
won, and we trained together a little bit here and there, and then after 2000, we put in a great training block right before Christmas.
Yes.
And I think he was probably a little too structured at that point for that time of year, and I went on to win in 2001 then, and after that, we didn't train together anymore.
After you beat him.
Yes.
That's pretty interesting how that works. So going into 2001, obviously we just had 9/11.
Yep.
And we didn't even know if this event was going to happen, because this was going to be the first international sporting event after 9/11, and the event could have been canceled.
Yeah, I mean, for a couple days after it happened, we all just sat in front of the TV, and I felt guilty about going out for a bike ride in that situation.
Sure.
So I felt like people would be driving past going, doesn't this guy know what the world's, in turmoil right now? Why is he out riding his bike? And you kind of had to just put that in the back of your head and get going. But we didn't know if it was going to happen. I had scheduled to fly out to California to finish my training, and I didn't want to get on a plane.
Right.
I mean, it was literally right after 9/11, and so Nicole and I decided to just hop in the car and drive. The airline was like, yeah, you guys can cancel any trip you need to at this point. So we just packed the car and drove to Santa Cruz, and as if, shacked up with a friend of ours, and I just kind of kept training there to get away from the home and kind of just change your mindset. And I think it was the best thing that, that I could have done.
And when did you hear that the race for sure was going to happen?
While we were in California, right kind of before I flew over here about 10 days before the race, and after that, we just getting over here, things were still a little different.
They really were.
Some people, you didn't know if some of the athletes were even going to show up because of the security on the airlines was so different at that point. All of a sudden, that who are they going to let into the country and things like that.
So on race day, how did it play out?
I'd love to tell this great story that the whole time in my head I was like, I got to do this for the USA, I got to do this for country, but I think I was so programmed about. It had been a year of anger about 2000, getting second, and the one mistake I made during that race. So, I was so focused on that all year that I was just focused on my own race. But then during the race itself, it started coming out. There was a lot more American flags on the course and things like that. And then when I did realize I was going to win, which was coming down Palani basically, and then turning onto Ali'i, it was very emotional just because of the amount of USA, and then it really hit home when I crossed the finish line and turned around to see some of the other finishers coming in and some of the guys from the other countries carrying American flags as well. And that to me is one of those memories that will stand out forever.
People were also chanting "Go USA" rather than "Go Tim" as you're coming along.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Now, in the year before, you lost by 2 minutes.
Just under 2 minutes, I think. Yeah. And
and that lived with you for every
Yeah.
workout, every day, every
yeah,
sleep?
I mean, it was easier to get third than it was to get second.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
in '99, third was like that breakthrough, and I was really happy with that. But it gave me that taste of, hey, I can win this. And then in 2000, I mean, I was right there. Everything felt good. Pete and I were running together, and it was a lapse of probably like 75 to 100 calories that cost me that.
A gel.
Yep.
Ugh.
Basically a gel.
And even though Pete's a friend,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's not like you can feel good for him when you
No.
No.
So, that was, that was good motivation, but tough
Well,
to
it
swallow.
probably led to 2001.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I
because
mean,
the way you trained, I'm sure every workout you were thinking about that.
yeah, I
You're drawing
I
it.
wasn't overly pleasant to be around all year. I was lucky I didn't have a kid then, and lucky Nicole was understanding.
Now, are you one of those guys who loves to race, or are you one of those guys who loves to train?
I got into the sport because I wanted to be a professional trainer.
Right.
Like, even as a swimmer growing up, I was like, wouldn't it be great to just train all day?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, the racing was kind of, it interrupted my training, and so I didn't over race, and I think that helped me as well. I didn't tend to over race because it would hurt my training along the way. But I didn't learn to race well until I learned to rest. So,
Yeah.
but all those years of huge training when I was like 20 to 25 to 27 years old really helped me, I think.
So when you come back and repeat, very few people do that. You won in 2001, then you come back 2002 and repeat, and still to this day, last American guy to win this race.
That's kind of a dubious honor at this point.
Right. I mean, because I'm sure that every year you're going, come on, Andy Potts, come on, Ben Hoffman, come on, we need somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get a feel for who might have a chance and stuff
Right.
like that, and so I'm still waiting
Yeah.
to see that. I think there's some guys coming up through the pipe now that might have some potential.
So I can't remember if it was you or if Brother Tony who said that, it's at that time it was March, and it was like, I can get physically ill thinking about this being the night before Kona right now, right?
Yeah, that was me.
That was you.
Yeah, the nerves are, but it can be a positive and a negative.
Because you're ready.
Well, you care. If you're nervous, it shows that you care.
Right.
And I knew that the day I didn't get nervous was the day I needed to stop racing, and I vivid memory in my head of when that happened. It wasn't here, but it was at another race, and I was just like, I wasn't nervous, but I just didn't want to be there, and I was like, that's it. I left my shoes in the transition zone after the race and walked away. Yeah.
What do you remember? What race?
It was actually a, which one was it?
One of the Ironman races?
No, I think it was Quasi.
Okay. Rev 3.
Quasi
Yeah.
was my last one.
And basically, you
Well, I'd
finished
had
it?
my daughter like 5 months before that, and I
Yeah.
thought I was going to race maybe one more year, and that just kind of was a changing point. I didn't want to travel anymore. I didn't want to spend summers away in Europe or Australia in the winter, and I just wanted to be home with her. And
As well you should.
Yeah, and we timed it right having a kid, because there's no way I could have been the dad that I wanted to be and still race the way I wanted to.
I'm betting that you still train a lot.
Very different now, though. I don't consider it training.
It's
I
just
consider
lifestyle.
It's lifestyle, and very different sports now. I embrace winter more than summer.
Really? Like cross-country ski, snowshoe?
More like the ski mountaineering
Oh.
and stuff like that. And then in the summer, I do quite a bit of climbing now and mountain biking, but my road bike doesn't really exist anymore.
It has a little dust on it?
I don't even really have one anymore. Lots of mountain biking, lots of time in the mountains. We pretty much live in the mountains now, and so I hadn't been on a flight on an airplane till this trip for a year and a half.
Really?
Yeah, I just cut it off. I didn't want to travel anymore.
Well, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
You spent your whole life traveling.
Right.
And slugging a bike along with you.
Yeah, and there's just so much to do in Colorado. So I enjoy it.
love it.
Yeah, it's great.
How about a round of applause for our two-time Ironman World Champion, Mr. Tim DeBoom.
With a hooey, oh hitting alu. With a hooey, oh hitting alu. And it's breakfast with Bob. Chee-hoo.
Huggo, man.